everyone. Thank you for joining us for week 3 of our finance workshop. My name is Shamika Byfield and I'll be your host today. I'm Managing Director for Shy Figures. We're a community-based organisation and one of our key aims is to improve financial literacy within our community. So we've partnered up with BME Forum and Andrew, along with the Martin Lewis project, to enhance your financial knowledge. This week we'll be focusing on savings and investment. The agenda for today, basically, what is savings and how does it differ from investments? The types of savings that are available to you now, depending on your spending habits or your saving habits, and what investments are there too. I'll be giving you some general tips and advice, places to look to further your knowledge as well at the end, and then we'll be open for questions and answers. You do have the chat function within the Zoom platform. So please do share your questions as you go along. If there are buzzwords or industry jargon that you don't understand, or there's something that you want us to discuss at the end, put it in the chat straight away, and then Andrew will initiate the questions and answers session at the end. Okay, and I'll just run through as slowly as possible so that you can take notes, and then pause in the middle. You can stop and ask questions, and then we'll do the same at the end as well. So yeah, let's go. Savings. So of course we all have savings, whether it's underneath the bed, whether it's in the bank, whether you've joined the syndicate, what we call the partner in the Caribbean. We all want to save. We all have savings on our to-do list, but we probably don't do it. But what's the difference with just saving cash underneath your bed or putting it in a bank, or actually making the best use of the savings products that are out there? So when money is set aside with the aim of earning interest, it cannot be underneath your bed. So you must have knowledge of what savings products are available from your own bank and other places as well, not just the bank that you have your current account with. You usually set this savings aside for the short term, whether it's for a holiday, a new car, or you just want to have contingency funds. You will want to have a bit of savings just for those unexpected turns in life. Why do people choose to save compared to someone that wants to go into investment? It could be that you have had that habit growing up as a child where your parents would say, you must save, you must have money, you must have contingency. So you are more prone to save underneath your bed or in a bank account. You're probably not even sure how to invest your money. You probably don't even have enough knowledge of investments for you to take that step. I'm sure that I didn't. In my early 20s, I got a job in the bank, and I was always just throwing partners or saving with my friends and family. And then the investment broker, she brought me into her office and she said, you know what, you wanna save put money in stocks and shares? And I said, yeah, why not? And she set me up a £50 a month stocks and shares ISA. And that came out of my account the day after I got paid. And without me realizing it, I was saving. I had £600, I increased it to 100. It went up to £1,200 for the year. And I didn't remember anything about it. And that was going into stocks and shares. I didn't understand much at the time, but I knew it was a good move. So because we are brought up in a certain kind of way, we don't explore other options. And this is what we need to break, that type of stigma or stereotype within the community where we're just known for not using the banks or saving. Once we improve our financial literacy, we'll be able to do that and take advantage of more products on the market. Sometimes we don't want to put money in the bank because we want to have easy access to it. Does that even help us if we're trying to save? The money's there, so you're going to spend it. Money's on your savings account, you will spend it. You must know your own limits and whether or not that's easy for you to do, or you would rather have it tucked away somewhere where you can't touch it as instantly as you'd like to. Once we know that investment involves risk, some of us don't want to take the risk because, again, we don't understand it. So the key point here is to get an understanding of what investments are there and what savings products might work best for us. What are investments? So these differ They differ. The choice between holding cash in a bank and investing could have a major impact on how your future wealth is generated. But these two ways of holding and building wealth are very, very, very different. Savings, interest rates are quite low at the moment. Investments, you might get a greater return, but it's more long-term and there are risks involved. So yes, there are 4 different types. You can buy shares in companies such as Marks and Spencer's, Royal Mail, and you get your dividends out, or your shares increase in value and you can then sell those shares on. You can actually save money in a bank account and get interest on there, whatever that interest rate is. It's probably 0.01%. Probably don't want that. You can actually invest money in property. You invest it in buildings, whether it's commercial or residential. And if it's a buy-to-let, you can get your rent from the property as a landlord, or when you sell it, you actually get a return on your investment. So you're having money, whether you choose to invest in property, in shares, in savings account, or even in fixed interest securities. So these are dealt with by wealth managers at your local bank or a financial advisor. They can advise you more as to where to put your money. So if we do get a great inheritance or we happen to fall into some money, the first thing you should be thinking about is, how can I make this money make more money for me? Not just spending it, buying a new car, investing. That's the key. So the savings account, it might seem quite basic that, just open a savings account at the bank and that's it. I probably thought, you know what, I'll never get up to 85,000. So there's no reason for me to even worry about which bank I put my savings in, but you never know. So if you're not aware of how your money can be affected by the economy, you need to be. 85,000 in any bank, you're protected once they're an FCA regulated institution. Any interest that you earn, you might be a higher rate taxpayer without even realizing it. You might become a higher rate taxpayer. When you do hit that threshold, you want to be making sure your money works for you. You want to be making sure that you're the most tax efficient that you can be. And having your savings in the right account will help you to ensure that you're getting every little penny out of the interest and the benefits of having that account. There are different types of savings account. So the ones that we probably open without thinking and not put any money in is the easy access accounts. Those ones, you put money in, you take money out. You get paid, you said, oh, let me send £100 over to my savings. And then in a few days, you take that £100 back out. Those are easy access. If the money, every day the money stays there, you get interest. You might see at the end of the month, you've got 3 pence. I'm excited when I see 3 pence in my account. That's 3 pence I did not earn. So imagine if I was to leave money in there and I actually got £3. That would excite me even more. If you think about compound interest, when you get £3 this month, £3 for the whole year, that's money that you haven't done anything for. That's money that just because you left your money in the bank, you were actually getting interest and getting paid. So it might sound very small, but in essence, once it compounds and it builds up over time, it becomes a substantial amount. I remember once the banker took 5 pence in overdraft interest from me when I was supposed to be charged 0%. And I had to call them for my 5p, because that's 5 pence that I didn't have. If you think about it, if you go to the shop and your card is short on 5p, it might just decline. So that 5 pence meant a lot to me. And it's the same with if I am to get 5 pence interest, that means a lot to me too. But those accounts, you don't get high interest rate. You can withdraw. You can get up to 1.16% in interest, but you hardly do unless you have a specific bank, a savings account with a specific bank. Your usual banks that you have your current account with, their savings rates are really low. They're quite low. You can check it out yourself, or you probably would get 0.85%, probably 0.50. So you need to think about where you're saving and if that account actually makes sense. You can withdraw the funds at any time, like I said. So those are very easy access. Put the money, take it out. With the fixed term savings, those ones, the interest rates are a little bit higher. You can go up to 1.35% at the moment, but you have to leave the money in the account for a term. So if you take the lump sum out that you've put in, or you're putting in monthly deposits, you take it out, you lose the interest that you would have got at the end of the year, because the interest rate is paid annually. You can have a 1 year or a 2 year fixed. At the moment, they're 1.35%. HSBC First Direct. With regular savings account, I like these the best because I can actually do monthly deposits in there. So, and that compounds as well. So if I started month one with £50, I'll get interest on that 50. If I then change my £50 to £200, month two, I would have 250, and I would then get interest on 250. At the end of the year, it doesn't mean that it's a great deal of money. You probably end up with £20 extra, but the why you're doing it could be because you're saving towards a holiday. So you would have saved that money anyways, probably in the drawer, or left it in your current account. But if you were to put it into a savings account that's giving you high interest and focusing on going forward, such as doing your forecast, say, I need this money in the next 12 months. So let me make sure it's in the best place, and you can get that £20 extra. It's £20 more for your holiday compared to not having that £20. So if you look at it as the bigger picture, spending time looking for the correct savings account for your needs and to make sure that you're getting the best interest rate, it would be worth it. And I'm only using those small numbers, £50, £100. You might be saving 500. I don't know. But imagine if you're getting £20 on £100 or £50, how much would you be getting on £500 for you not touching that money over a year? So do think about it in that perspective. You will incur charges and penalties if you withdraw the money, and that would not mean you losing the money that you've put in, but the interest that you would have received at the end of the year, you'll probably lose that if you take it out. So yeah, don't forget to use the chat function to put your questions in. The top 3 regular savings account at the moment, I checked this today and I've just put this screenshot in. Look, it's 2 banks that I've never even thought about, and Halifax. Halifax, great. As you see, Coventry Building Society, those building societies are primarily there for savers. They're not banks, so they are more traditionally savings institutions. So they always offer the best rates because their portfolio are based on people that save money. If you go to Barclays, they may not compare with Coventry just because their portfolio includes a lot of current accounts and business accounts. Coventry doesn't do that. So they're then offering the highest rate at the moment. At 1.85%, you can do monthly deposits of even £1 up to £500. You can skip months if you want, and you can do withdrawals with a 30-day interest penalty, like I said. Compared to Principality Building Society, as I said, these are names that we probably never heard before, but they're open. You can open accounts with them. They don't have any withdrawal, you can't make any withdrawals from that account for the whole year. But like I said, if you're planning ahead and you don't need to make withdrawals, then yes, you could go for the 1.5%. Compared to Coventry, they're a better deal because you can make a withdrawal with just 30 days interest penalty. Halifax, most of us probably have bank accounts with Halifax, or some of us, but you can get a really good rate from them as well. The bank linked accounts, those are the ones where if you have a current account, you can then have a savings linked to that current account and then do regular savings. They are offering the best interest rates at the moment. And that's with HSBC, they have current account, or First Direct. If you have a current account with any of these, and then you open a savings account, you're immediately boosted to 2.75% interest on any regular savings that you put in. And again, that is regular savings fixed for a term. So it could be for 12 months. You're depositing £20, £50, 100, or even 1,000. That's what we would like to deposit every month for the next 12 months. I'd recommend that you do use a savings calculator when you're comparing. to see how much you could actually expect. But don't be bogged down about what interest you will receive, even if it's just £70 in interest. Think about the fact that that was not your £70 and you've actually done your first investment by putting your money in a savings account that gave you £70. Imagine if you had a lot more money that you were putting into savings. £70 a year isn't too bad. Savings calculator can be found on Google. It's on Martin Lewis's website, Money Savings Expert. There's a range of them around. Use them, do your calculations when you're doing your planning for your savings goals and your vision. Right, talk about savings goals. Here we are. This is my favorite savings goal. For those who are not homeowners yet, you want to buy a house, you want to start saving the money. You're going to start leaving the money in your savings account that you've had since you were 10 years old. Yeah? You want to start leaving the money in your savings account that you've had since you were 10. Doesn't make sense. Now is the time for you to be making sure that your savings are going to work as hard for you as you're working as hard for that money. For some of us, we may have missed out on the Help to Buy ISA that came off sale last November. And again, if we have, it's because we didn't have the knowledge of. We didn't have the knowledge of the benefits. We didn't know that it existed because we probably don't go into the bank. We probably don't watch financial documentaries, or series, or Martin Lewis. We don't listen to the news much when it comes on to what's going on in the finance world. We didn't know it existed. And that's been around for about 5 years now, the Help to Buy ISA or more, from about 2015, 2014. And we didn't take advantage of it, and now it's gone. And the Help to Buy ISA allowed you to save, and then the government would give you a top-up on top when you're ready to buy the house. And again, it comes down to our vision. We would probably thought, we're not going to buy a house now. Why do we need to be saving for it? But it's important to have your plan and your goals set out so that you can take advantage of things in the long term, things that are available now, and looking ahead to 5 years later, how it could benefit you. But stress not, they've got another one. It's not the same as the Help to Buy, but it does have its benefits. So if we look at this one, this is the Money Box Stock and Shares Lifetime ISA, which they're now terming the LISA. You can save up to £4,000 each year, and you get 25% bonus on top. So that is about 300 and a little bit pounds every month. Get up to the 4,000, and the government gives you a whopping £1,000 that you didn't work for towards your new home of up to £450,000 in London. Now that is money that, if you can do it and you are going to be saving £4,000 for the year, put it in an ISA. Put it in an account that's going to also give you the benefits that you deserve. I did an example with the Lifetime ISA versus a savings account. Over 2 years, you want to buy a house in the next 2 years, you have a lump sum of cash available already, but you still will be saving for the next 2 years to get this house. You're saving £4,000 a year. As you can see, your contribution over the 2 years will be £8,000. Your interest will be £140, and then the bonus that you get on top is £2,000. In the end, at the end of 2 years, when you're ready to buy that house, you're withdrawing £10,000. You have some fees that are attached to the ISA provider. So say on average you're withdrawing £10,000. You've only saved £8,000. You've actually got £2,000 free. That could pay for your stamp duty, depending on what type of house you're buying, your solicitor's fee. That could even buy you a new sofa for something that you're going to do anyways. Compared to you saving that same £8,000 in a current account, you would get £8,164 back. The difference is obvious. But if we don't know, we can't take advantage of. So I would definitely recommend you all to do some reading on the LISA, the Money Box Stocks and Shares ISA, because it's available now for those between the age of 16 and 39. So you can take advantage of it, even if you don't start saving in it straight away. If you're nearing that 39, that 40, open the ISA so that you can have it available for when you're ready. And you can continue to save in your help to buy ISA up until 2029 if you were lucky enough to have opened one back when it was available. Investment. So that's a sort of investment, the stocks and shares money box ISA. It's a sort of investment that the government co-signs, but there are also other investments that you can take advantage of. Oops, I think I should have waited a little bit. If you guys had any questions. Andrew, did you want a break? I think he's muted. All right, I'll carry on. Investment. So the need to know for investment. This one is a bugbear for me because investments are like a whole another level of savings and dealing with monies. And it sounds like it's for the super rich, but it really isn't, because you can also invest in stocks and shares. You can also buy stocks or shares in a company that's probably just starting up and see how your shares will grow. But again, you must understand the different types of investment products that are available to you. Again, this is for your personal development. This is for your understanding. So if you're ever in a room with conversation around investments, you can actually know what they're talking about, because you've done your own personal growth journey on investing, on understanding what financial products are available. You must understand the risks that are attached to investments. Investments are fun. Investments are like, yeah, I'm going to make a lot of money, but they're also a gamble. And there's no guarantee that you will actually get back the money that you invested. But if you win, and you win big, you'll be happy. But just like anything that has risk attached to it, you must weigh up the pros and cons and understand where the risk lies. I'm not a risk taker. Accountants don't like that. We're very prudent with our money. I'd prefer to build it in small, build it up in little blocks than to invest a large lump sum and lose it. My heart wouldn't take it. You might be the same. Some of you might be the same. I've got friends who are, Sham, if you don't take risk, you will never get the reward. But again, risk is linked to reward. The higher the risk, the bigger the reward. If you're happy with getting the big reward and running the high risk, then great. Over the long run, it's historically, stocks and shares have outperformed savings accounts in terms of inflation, because as you know, the rates for savings accounts are dire at the moment. Stocks and shares are still going on. They're still trading. Companies are building. Companies are still growing. And the rate of inflation compared to the growth of these companies on the London Stock Exchange is better. It's in favor of the in favor of the stocks. So of course, if you prefer to put your lump sum away over the longer term, then you might be better off. You can invest a large lump sum of money in stocks and shares or any other investment, or you can decide to do smaller monthly deposits every month, like I did in my 20s. The smaller deposits might work out better for you because you might see the rewards going forward, and then you start increasing it, and it lowers your risk as well. With investments, because things fluctuate in the investment market, you want to be able to leave your money for 5 years. That's the ideal. You don't want to invest for a year and then withdraw all of your money and you get £10, because at that point that you were ready to withdraw, the stock market plummeted or the investments went down in value. So investments are for the long term, whereas with the savings, it could be a year, it could be 2 years, it could be 5 years. With investments, you want to put it in, make sure that it rides the market. Any humps and bumps that it might go through, you can leave it there. So I'm thinking, if I could invest £1,000, if I get £1,000 spare and I put it in investments and I forget about it, in 2 or 3 years, that £1,000 might become a lot more than £1,000 if they were in stocks and shares. But you then watch it and you decide when you think actually it's gone up enough. It's probably earned another £500. I have increased my investment. Let me take it out now. I'm happy with that. I don't want to run the risk of it then going back down to 300. Those are the type of things that you need to know and understand when it's the right time to withdraw your funds for you. And that is very subjective, because for some people, £500 might not be enough. They might want thousands on top of that 1,000. So it's up to you. And I would say only risk what you can afford to lose when you're in investment. That's my motto. Anything that I'm not afford to lose, I'm not putting it up for grabs. I can't afford to lose it, I'm not putting it up for grabs. So £1,000, if I can say, well, it's fine if I get back 900, I'll lose £100. I'm fine to do that. But don't ever risk what you can't afford to lose. The different types of investments, yes, stocks and shares. So with stocks and shares, that's you literally buying a slice of a company in exchange for dividends or the value of their stock. So it's like Royal Mail. If the value of their shares are going up and you've purchased shares 10 years ago for 2p each, and now the shares are worth £2 each, you've actually made £1.80 on every single share that you own. And that's why I said over the long term is better. Marks and Spencer's. It's like Apple. Those who invested in Apple when it first came, can you imagine? They're smiling at the moment. But there are other upcoming companies. There are companies in the tech industry. Amidst COVID and everything else, you can see that technology is actually winning and everything has had to go remotely. There are companies who have been starting up and they're looking for people to buy their shares as well. For them, their shares might be cheap at the moment, but if you think about in 5 years' time where it becomes the norm, their share value may increase. So if you have spare and you think, oh, actually, I want to buy shares in a company, you might want to be looking at the technology industry and other areas as well. But again, understanding how this works is paramount to you actually having success. Our favorite other type of investment is the UK property market. Yes, everyone wants to buy a house. Everyone wants to rent a house so that they can make money back on their investment. Even if it isn't renting, it could be somewhere for you to live. It could be a residential. Once you are ready to sell that house after a few years, you may have equity. So if you have lump sum or you're saving to buy a house, that's actually a massive investment as well. I've seen where someone's bought a house 20 years ago. The house, she paid 200,000 for it. 200,000, it's now worth 450 after 20 years. I mean, 200,000 back then was a lot of money compared to what it is now. But for her to have equity of 250,000 after 20 years, that's amazing. And she's lived in the house all this time. So she's had a home and now she's able to sell and get capital gains on top of it. So she's getting a return on her investment. She probably could have sold 10 years ago and actually got a really good lump sum as well. So if you do have money and you want to invest in the property market, create a portfolio of buy-to-let houses, then of course speak to a mortgage broker and see how that he can make sure that you're investing in the right property in the right area that will give you a return on your investment. Investment ISAs. Again, we're going back to the banks. Your bank will have investment ISAs. They will have a dedicated team for client relationship management. Don't be afraid to approach them to talk about what you might want. It might not be what you want now or what you're able to afford, but if you don't have the knowledge in advance, you can't set your goals because you don't know what you're setting it to. So if you don't have that conversation, you don't have a conversation about the mortgage. If I didn't know about mortgages, I couldn't be planning to get a mortgage. So we can't be planning to do things without the background knowledge in the first place. So investment ISAs, get a tax-free allowance of £20,000 every year. I would recommend that this be your first port of call if you want to get into investments. You pay the money in. Your client relationship manager at the bank will then choose the funds to invest in that are low risk. They will do a risk assessment with you, see what kind of risk taker you are, whether you don't mind losing some, and they'll do a full 360 on your finances and your mindset to know where to invest your money. As I said, the higher the risk, the higher the reward. I'm low risk, just to remind you. But do have that conversation because that conversation will allow you to plan ahead and set your vision how you want it and be better able to achieve your goals as well. So my tips for savings and investment, I'll go back to my first session that I did 2 weeks ago, is to complete a personal survival budget. We have a template. We can send it to you if you didn't receive one or you weren't on the first Zoom call. Complete a personal survival budget so that you can know if you actually have money to save or invest. Have a look at your finances, sit down, go through and set some goals for yourself. Set your savings goals. That's number 2. And that's important. What do you want to save for? Why are you saving? Is it that you want to have contingency funds? Do you want a holiday? Do you want to make sure that your children have enough to support themselves through university? Is it a nest egg? You think about what your savings goals are. You actually go and research what savings goals other people have. Maybe there's something in there for you that you never thought about. Again, for me, knowledge is key, improving your financial literacy. Finding the account that suits your needs. Now, you bank with Halifax, you have your current account with Halifax, you have your savings account with Halifax. Halifax might not be the best one for you. So again, the internet is my best friend. Use Google, use those comparison websites to see who are giving out the best rates at the moment. 1 year, 2 year, 3 year fixed term savings. Over 3 years, interest rate might change. It might increase. It might decrease. You might not want to lock your money away for that long, but there are benefits to doing so. Way back in probably about 10 years ago, a 3-year bond was paying 6%. I remember I was working at Santander at the time. 6% interest on a bond. You can't find that now. But back then it was. It might actually become a usual thing again for interest rates to go up, but I don't see it happening amidst all of this. So you have to scrape and get the best deal for yourself. I remember Santander also had the 123 savings account. If any of you had that account was amazing. You had everyone depositing £20,000 in there in the savings, because that was the only account at the time paying 3% interest. We had customers who were getting £700 savings for the year. They were getting interest on their savings, and then they were getting cash back on their direct debits. Now, for anyone that didn't know about that account, they missed out, because now it isn't that great again. It's still there, but it isn't. The interest rate isn't that high. And you now have penalties, just like with anything, they change over time. You now have a fee to pay. But for those who stayed abreast with knowledge and kept up to date, they were able to take advantage straight away. Other banks might bring out other initiatives that would increase the interest rate or make it higher just because they're trying to achieve something. I know that back then what Santander wanted was a larger portfolio of bank accounts. So if they then created a bank account that gave interest on their savings, everyone that had bank accounts elsewhere switched over. And everyone that had bank accounts elsewhere and switched over was able to take advantage of the high interest rate at the time. So again, staying abreast with everything that's going on is key to you taking advantage of what's available. Speaking to a financial advisor that's linked to a wealth management company, if you want to go into investments or put your money where it will work hard for you in stocks and shares, definitely need to speak to a financial advisor. They're at your banks. Go and speak to them. They get paid to talk to you. Book an appointment. Whether or not you feel like you're wasting their time, if you have a goal where you need knowledge, they have the knowledge. Go and sit down and have a chat for that 1 hour meeting. And tell them, because guess what will happen? When you are ready to invest, you will go back to that bank that helped you out. So they're there for the benefit of their customers as well. Don't be scared. Well, knowledge, signing up to newsletters like Money Saving Expert Martin Lewis, wealth of information. There are other websites too. You've got the Money Advice Service, you've got the Financial Times, there's loads. Sign up to the newsletters. When you wake up in the morning and you're going to scroll Instagram or Facebook, scroll your email, open those newsletters and see what's new. Spend some time doing your own research as well. Whilst you might say you might sign up to the newsletters, you want to spend some time doing your research, because that will also improve your financial literacy for yourself. In these times where everyone's talking about economic development and building economic wealth, we can't build it if we don't have financial literacy. Because even if we all get £100 million in reparations for everything that's happened to us, we still wouldn't know how to spend it or how to make that 100 million into 300 million unless we are able to understand how money works and how to make the money work for us. So building up our own financial literacy is quite important for that wealth and generational wealth that we want to create. Money fact find, I'd say, in addition to doing your personal survival budget, complete a money fact find. You know, ask yourself the questions. How were your past experiences with money? How does it affect you today? How did it affect you last year? What is your attitude to risk and how much you're willing to lose? How much time do you want to spend managing your money? Would you prefer to have someone manage all of your funds for you, or do you want to do it yourself? Do you want to understand it? Do you want to be on those platforms, choosing which companies to invest your money in terms of buying shares? Because you can. There are loads of platforms available for you to do that as well. You want to know how much money you have available to save or invest. Might sound like a long cry away if you're not. If you have debts or your bills are really high and you don't have enough, at least if you do think about it now, you can set yourself that goal. How much do I want to have to save and invest? Ideally, I want to be saving £1,000 a month. And now I've got to think about, how do I earn enough to cover all of my expenses and still have £1,000 to save? And why am I saving it? What is the end goal? Why do I want to save it? I've got to set those targets. On an end note, I think I'm right on time. Well, I'm a little bit late. For savings, I just want to reiterate the fact that your bank may not have the best savings account for you. So do shop around, looking after the pennies, and you know how the rest goes. The pounds will look after themselves. So if it means that you're getting £10 a year or £20 a year for money that you saved anyways, spend that time finding the right one. For investments, understand what investments are available to you and how it may work for you, especially if you have a lump sum of savings already set aside. If you've got a £20,000 sitting in a savings account, or even your bank account, and it's not working, it's giving you 0.01 as most savings account default to, you might want to put that into investments, but the right investment, which is why speaking to a financial advisor, a wealth management, or a wealth manager will be of benefit to you as well. Investments might be a good call for your lump sum, so you start thinking about that. And on that note, sources of information, Money Saving Expert, you have the platforms that are on Google. There's Lansdowne, there's Braithwaite. You can go on and look at investments, look at more information. They've got investment guides for beginner, savings guide for beginners. There's loads. So if you want to continue to extend your learning and your knowledge, do go out there and search for it. And on that note, that is all from me.
Thank you, Shamika. Well done. Can you take off the screen sharing so that everybody can see you? And we've got loads of questions to go through.
Oh my gosh!
I know, we hit 40, girl. We hit 40. We hit 40. So well done. All right, let me do that because I just want to see you. So okay, so speaker view. I need to do speaker view. Where do I do speaker view? Okay, cool. So can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so let's go through. So everyone, please put your messages in the WhatsApp group, in the chat room. I've already added some of you already into the WhatsApp group as well, so I'm going through. Oh, okay, let's go. So let's go for the first question, which is, with interest rates so low, is it worth still trying to save?
What are the other options available to you instead of saving? Investing in a business. There are great risks to that as well. So if you are in the habit of savings, of course, the interest rates are low, but the money's also yours that you're saving. So it all depends on the point at which you're at in your life, whether or not you're at a savings where you're trying to save for a house or save for a goal. Whether or not you're getting interest or not, you're still going to do it, which is why it's important to shop around for the highest, even if it's 0.1% more, for the highest interest rate so that you can save. It's either save or spend or invest.
Excellent. The next one was, which accounts are good for this, for saving? I think we did touch on it again, but do you want to just mention
Yeah,
some of
so
those accounts?
yeah, at the moment, the monthly savers are, I've got a list of them. I think it's First Direct account, HSBC, and Halifax are giving good rates at the moment. Again, if you go onto Google, you type in compare savings accounts at the moment, whether it's fixed or regular savings, it will throw up who has the best rates. So it's all centralized now. It's great. We don't have to go to each bank now.
Excellent, thank you. What is your view on investing in Bitcoins or gold?
Ooh, it's a very touchy subject, that one is.
We were kind of touching on that earlier on, weren't we? So.
Yeah, so Bitcoins and gold is a commodity that I don't personally invest my time or knowledge in. It's very specialist. And I would say we can have a conversation off air with this one. But for me, it's not something that I co-sign to or recommend. And it's not to say that it's not good or people don't have benefits from it. Personally, I don't know enough about it to comment.
Excellent, that's good. If that was somebody asking me, I would not do Bitcoin, but I would definitely do gold. Yeah.
There we go.
Next question: can you have multiple regular savings accounts?
Yes, definitely. You can have multiple regular savers account. You can have regular savers account with different banks, and you can have one or two with the same bank. It depends on that bank's their terms and conditions. But the point of having multiple savings account is that you'll be spreading the money across the two accounts in the same way. So if you have £100 and you want to have £50 here and £50 there, it's ultimately going to be the same. But you might be thinking along the lines of, if I need to touch one of them, then it won't affect the whole amount, which is very clever. So you can think about doing savings with Halifax and savings with another bank, depending on the interest rates. So yes, you can.
Excellent, thank you. So we've just been joined by a few people, so I'm just putting them on mute. Somebody just said bonds and question mark. So it's not really a question, but tell us about bonds.
So bonds are investment in, it's government linked, and you get high interest rates. Well, you used to get higher interest rates with bonds as well, but those are very long term. So bonds are typically between 3 years and 5 years. You can even have a 10-year bond. And it just means that you're interested in long-term savings. The interest rates are usually much higher in when you invest in bonds. So long-term investment.
What do you know about premium bonds?
Oh, you guys are going into the top things that I didn't touch on deliberately in my slide.
Yeah. Well, I invest in premium bonds every month, so that's why.
Yeah, you invest in premium bonds every month. What's the return on? What's the interest rate?
The interest is nothing. Interest rate is nothing, but your money is the same as. So basically, if you put in £50 now on in the year 2000, in the year 2020, it will still be worth £50. But the difference is that you get put into a monthly pool where you can win up to £1 million each month. So I've won £20, I've won £200, throughout my years. And my mum actually started me in premium bonds as well.
I remember those when I was at the bank, actually.
Yeah. So it's a good way. And even if you do, I think you can now invest £50 a month is the minimum, where before it used to be 100. So I said I've been saving for the last 3 years, and I've now got £3,000 worth of premium bonds. So £50 a month isn't bad at all.
And some people do win a lot of months throughout the year.
Yeah.
So then it's higher than the interest rate that you would have got if you left it elsewhere.
Yeah.
If you end up getting 3 or 4 months of £200, you're smiling.
Yeah.
But you might not as well. So again, it's an investment and it's a gamble, but it's still your money secure.
And that's it. And that's the difference. It is secured, and it's secured by the government. Well, I'm still not sure if that's 100% secure, but it's secured by the government.
Yeah, it's just like with the normal bonds, it's secure. So again, guys, premium bonds is one that I didn't touch on, but thanks to Andrew, we've been
you can definitely do that one.
Well.
Okay. Next question: why is it important to make a budget plan? Which shares should one buy during COVID? Ooh. Zoom. If you could have bought Zoom before COVID, you would have been a very happy person.
Right, technology.
Technology. You did say technology. You did say technology. Is your battery running out again, Maria?
It is, but I'm on top of it.
So the question is, why is it important to make a budget plan?
It's important to make a budget plan because that is like a roadmap to what it is that you're trying to achieve. So if you don't know how much money is coming in and how much is going out, you will definitely not know how much money you have to invest or to save. So it's like with any business, your life is a business. So how much is your income? How much are your expenses? That gives you a reason or the opportunity to analyze whether or not your expenses are too high or your income is too low for the life that you want to lead. So for me, a budget plan is, before you can do anything, you need to have your budget plan in place, your personal survival budget. This is how much I spend. We spend money so quickly. If we don't take the time to stop and actually see that, I'm actually spending too much, and then I'm going on to credit cards, it gives you a moment to stop and actually put your life into perspective and your finances into perspective as well.
Excellent. And just once again, just regarding shares, I think technology has been one of the best ones to do. And not oil. Do not put your money into oil at the moment because it has gone down because people weren't driving. So of course the shares went down. Somebody said, what is a good tool? Can you name a good tool to learn about stocks and shares and what to look for in a good investment?
In a good investment in terms of stocks and shares, because it fluctuates so much, it will be, for a lot of people, it will be companies who, if you're not a risk taker, a company that has stability and growth opportunities, you want to make sure that if you put in £10,000 buy shares of £10,000 in this company, in a year's time, what are the risks of that company actually going into liquidation? You might think, actually, I've got a good eye for up and coming companies. So for you, it's about getting the knowledge and knowing what you would want to risk your money on. A good investment for me is one that, because I'm very prudent, one that will give me certainty that they will be existing in 10 years when I'm ready to take my money out, or 5 years. I would probably not take the risk of investing in a new company, Andrew. But others may. And I know people that have invested in up and coming companies like Zoom, which wasn't as popular as it is now, and they're smiling. I don't have a good eye for that. So for Fiona, a good investment is one that you're comfortable with.
I'll follow up on that one. So I've COVID, so I started to do my stocks and shares. It's something I've always wanted to do, just never had the time. And then all of a sudden COVID came and we were all at home with nothing to do. So I started something called Free Trade. And can I just say, this is my own opinion. I'm not recommending it, etc., etc. But I do have some of my friends online here as well, and we all started it at the same time as well. And I think if Stephanie's online, she invested in is it Boohoo?
Clothing line,
yeah, the clothing line. She invested in that, and I think she's made a little bit of money from that as well. I invested in the cruise line, Carnival Cruise Line, because the shares went down. So I've bought it while they're low, and hopefully they will go up over 2 or 3 years. But as you said, if you're going to invest in shares, please, you have to have the heart for it as well, because your money will go up, and then the next day it can go down as well. So if you are going to invest in stocks and shares, please make sure that you're able to lose that money as well as hopefully gain that money back as well. Yeah. So and Shamika's shaking her head as well. There we go. Okay, here's some more questions. We've got 14 questions coming up, Nadia. Okay, thank you so much. You're welcome. www.babypips is recommended website to learn how to take. Okay, so myself and Shamika had a little talk about Forex as well, and we said we weren't going to talk too much about Forex, but somebody has mentioned it here. So do you want to just talk about 2 minutes about Forex? Not even 2 minutes, 60 seconds.
60 seconds, Forex. I'm just reading it. Is a recommend to learn how to trade as a Forex beginner. A trader with 20 years experience recommended it to me.
Mm.
Okay, so Forex is changing in currencies. It's separate from the London Stock Exchange where it's to deal with shares and everything. With Forex, you're trading in currencies. And just like with any trading platform, you invest in the right currencies that are up and coming. You have a platform that shows you, you probably have tutorials, and then you earn interest on your investment. It could be £3 interest, you leave it, it becomes £6, it becomes £10. Next month, it then becomes £3 again. So it goes up and it comes down. If you want to, as Andrew said, you have to have the heart for it. It's just trading on a different platform to stocks and shares, which is what Andrew's invested in. But for a beginner, there are loads of tutorials online to teach yourself how to trade. If you want to become a trader, there are individuals out there who have trading groups with mentorships. But again, you must have the heart for doing anything that involves trading, as the risk and rewards, they're interlinked with each other.
Thank you so much. Can you also send me the personal survival budget, because everybody's asking for it, so that's really good. Let me put some people on mute. Okay. Once again, everyone, while I'm looking for the next question, is if you want to be added to the BME Forum notice board on WhatsApp, please put your number in the list, in the chat. You can do it privately and I'll add you on later. Join, yeah, okay, thank you. Please also, okay, everybody wants the survival list, man. Can I have a copy of the, yeah.
Everyone's ready to invest, it seems.
As we are, okay, here's a good one. As we're approaching the recession, do you know of any banks or investments that may seem risky? Oh.
Player one, who said we're approaching a recession? Where did you get that information from? I don't believe we're approaching a recession. I don't, and that's because I'm a optimist. Okay, but banks, they're still covered by the guarantee of up to 85,000. If your money is there, it's safe. If you don't have more than 85,000, if you've got more than 85,000 to save, I'd recommend that you split it between financial institutions. Investments that might seem risky, those investments that are interlinked with interest rates, or they track interest rates. Of course, if we do hit another recession, the interest rates are going to plummet. So your investments will go down. But again, just to repeat, you must have the heart for it, because as everything goes down, it will also come back up. So it depends on when you need access to your money, whether or not you want to take it out now or wait till after the recession.
Okay. Which savings investment accounts would you recommend when saving for children or grandchildren? Can I just once again chuck in premium bonds? You can do it on a direct debit each month for up until they're 21 or 18, and you can give it all to them. It can still be delivered to you, and you can literally give it all to them when they're 18 or 21 or so. But anything else, Shamika?
Yeah, you also have the junior ISAs. That's a lot of, prior to before 2 years ago, they would open those once they're born, and the government would contribute. They still exist, and they have really good rates as well. You can do direct debits into junior ISAs, just to make sure that it's accumulating over the year. But unlike with premium bonds, the junior ISAs are invested into stocks and shares. So the value of those may differ at the end of that 18-year period or 10-year period. So premium bonds, junior ISAs, they're available from your bank, junior ISAs, and it's for children up to under the age of 18 years.
Excellent. We've still got 23 questions to go through. So quickly, can you quickly tell us what are we doing next week? Next week Thursday. What's the session next week Thursday?
Next week Thursday, we're on to entrepreneur finances. So it's more to do with those who are in business or are looking to go into business. Just things that they should be thinking about. Again, it falls with personal budgeting. As an entrepreneur, you need to know how much money you have, how much you need to live on before you actually go into business, because the business can drain you. The business can drain you. So we'll think about that. We'll talk about that, and we'll also touch on executive pensions, understanding your tax liabilities if you're an entrepreneur, anything around money to do with you going into business.
Excellent. Okay, let's carry on. Moneybox has a good, what's that, GISA, or is that
Junior
JIS?
ISA.
A junior ISA.
Yeah.
My kids also have 5% savings account. Oh, that's very good. With Halifax. Not sure what the current rates are, though. Love premium bonds, especially because interest. There we go.
Go,
Thank you.
Shanique.
Thank you, Shanique. Yeah.
Yes.
Um,
That's it.
yes, that is
my
what.
son's now, he's 12, and as soon as he turned 11, I got him his own 123 current account with Santander, and he gets his interest if he leaves his money in
That's
there.
it.
You know,
Excellent.
up to 3% interest because they're kids on £1,000 is fine. So taking advantage of those things. I know people that open savings account because they're higher interest and put their money in the children's savings account. So that's another way to take advantage of the higher interest rates that's available to children.
Excellent. And Shanika also says she's won £350, and I'm assuming that's in the premium bond. So in the past year,
Lottery. Yeah.
in the monthly lottery.
Yeah, she said I've won 350 in the past year.
Okay. Okay, then we have Chris here saying, I'm old school and always had the same bank account and never thought about changing to take advantage of rates, but definitely want to now. I just want to know, how easy is it to change banks?
It's going into the bank and opening a new account. Again, it might be linked to your credit file, or if you've had a bad reputation with that bank before, but you can even do it online. It's so easy now. So if you want to switch banks, but again, you know, these banks, they're offering you money to switch. You might want to take advantage of the ones who are offering £100 if you switch bank account. You get your £100, especially if it is a good bank account. If you have direct debits that you're paying, find the bank account that's giving you the for paying your direct debits and interest as well.
Excellent. Somebody said they would consider investing in Amazon. Let me just tell you now, you're going to need to have about £2,500 for one share in Amazon. Yeah, I would have. That was the first company I looked for when I saw how much it is a share. It's about £2,500 a share.
Wow.
So yeah, go for it. There is a cancel boohoo campaign at the moment. They are involved in modern day slavery. Okay, all right, okay, sorry about yes.
Okay, allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. Okay, got loads of and Andrew, please can I have your email again? Okay, thank you. Yep. Andrew at bmeforum.org. A lot of youth use Metro Bank. Are they as stable as the more established banks?
Metro Bank is quite a high street. They're not from the UK. They're from the US, which is why they're quite different to the normal high street retail banks that we have. But they are also backed by the FCA, so they're stable. The government's not laying any of those banks on the high streets that won't last. So for youths that are investing into Metro Bank, it gives them a lot of flexibility with what they want to do, being open 7 days a week. But if you compare them with Barclays or HSBC and RBS or Santander, they're not the same, but they're good. They're good.
Excellent. Somebody's also mentioned Chip and Plum apps are really good. Not sure that they've been mentioned. I haven't heard of Chip and Plum. I think I've heard of Plum, but not Chip.
Yeah, and we did the recommendations for the best budgeting apps in week 1 as well, Shanique. And I didn't include Chip and Plum, but I'll definitely be looking into it. Thanks for that. There are so many. But I looked at the top 10 recommendations from especially my favorite guy, Martin. So I'll have a look at that.
I must admit, Shanika knows her stuff because
Shanika is on point.
Yeah, I think I missed that, but she says that you can actually get fractional shares now with Amazon. Yes, you can. Well done. I didn't want to go that deep. Because it's just...
Shanique, do you want to come and co-host?
Next week. All right, I think we're coming up to the last few questions, so thank you so much again. Can you please advise on the ability to pay into child's pension pot from the age of 20? From the age of 2, interesting. Apparently you can claim tax relief up to £2,000 a year, and by the time they retire they should be able to get £1 million. Oh, that's new. I've not seen that.
Neither have I. So Michael, Definitely food for thought. Let's look into that.
Yeah, we can look
Pension
into that.
pot for kids. Oh, that wasn't Shanique that said about
No,
Amazon.
no, no, that was
Stephanie.
Michael.
No, that was Stephanie that said about the fractional shares. So thanks,
Oh,
Stephanie.
was it Stephanie? I beg your pardon.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we've got to give Stephanie her big ups. Pension pots for. Do you know what's really good, guys? And I really appreciate it is shared thinking and shared knowledge, because with the chat function, you guys are sharing with us as well for things that we probably purposely didn't include, but you're sharing your knowledge and others are able to see it.
Sham, can you maybe do some research on that one, and then maybe come back next week and and come back and maybe just let us know before the main session starts?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So last few questions, everyone. Thank you very much. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. There's also ETFs to invest in. All
Michael?
right. Michael's going deep on us now. So all right, Shamika's going to come back next week and tell us about what ETFs are. Okay, exchange traded funds. Excellent. Okay, I think that is it. Okay, that's it. So no more. If there are any more questions, please just quickly put them in. We will be back here again next week, Thursday at 7 p.m. and talking about entrepreneurs, savings and funds, etc., etc., etc. So, Shanika, sorry, I'm thinking.
Shamika.
Shamika, your last 3 tips on savings. Then you just tell everyone what is 3 things that you should do after today's session.
Be aware of the interest rates that you're getting that's available. Shop around and have your savings goal. Shop around, be aware of all the interest rates so that you can shop around and have a savings goal so that you know what you're looking for.